Welcome back to the improved version of the Excalibre 15. A lot of little tweaks since yesterday. The version you heard yesterday was my starting point, and the changes I've made have not been changes to the schematic as most people think about it. I've not changed any caps, I've not changed any pots, I've not changed the order of things. This is fine-tuning the voltages at each node. What you're hearing now, this channel and the phase inverter each have about 20 more volts on their, at the plates than they did before. So bringing the headroom up quite a bit is getting the sound I want. I've got the master volume disconnected temporarily, as well as the color circuit temporarily, so I can focus on things that are actually happening within the channels, the basic core sound of the amp, and then I will control it. I can make it darker with this. Right now it's max bright because the color is not there. So max volume at all times, no matter where this is set. Once I get everything where I want it, I'll reintroduce those. And a lot of people get this kind of thing wrong when they're building amps. They copy what Fender did, or they copy what Marshall did, or they copy what Vox did, but they're just copying the part values. They're not copying the why of what they did. They're not copying the thought process. In this case, the traditional AC15 dropping resistor to the phase inverter node is a 22K. That's what Vox used. They used 22K resistors there. But it's not that if you have an amp that you want to sound like that, you should use a 22K. They use a 22K because they wanted to get to a certain voltage for that node, and 22K is what got them to that voltage. If you have different supply voltages, because you have different transformers, or the wall voltage is different, or we have 60 hertz in the United States versus 50 hertz in the UK, you want to get to the same B plus node voltage. You don't necessarily get there with a 22K resistor. So I've been playing around with all that, and I know what values resistors to use on this to get the sound I want. I'm not quite there yet on this channel. It needs a little more air, and that's going to be in conjunction with the phase inverter. So this is a big step compared to yesterday, but there's some other little things for me to tweak, and it's all the subtleties. I do want to point out, now all the channel volumes are off, that this amp is dead silent. There is no hum, there's no hiss, and this master is out of the circuit. This is, until you turn the volumes up, you don't hear anything at all. People think Voxes hum. Voxes don't have to hum. Voxes are prone to humming because they have a combination of low filtering, and people up the filtering to try to hide the hum. That just makes a stiffer sounding amp that doesn't feel or sound like a Vox. That kind of buries the hum. It's a little less noticeable. But the hum in a Vox is primarily because they treated ground as ground. Any little bit of chassis would do as ground. Once you get rid of all that ground as ground mentality and you steer everything, you have an amp where it's dead silent as far as hum goes. There's no heater buzz, there's no heater hum, there's no hum from low filtering. Vox used 16 microfarad and 8 microfarad. I'm using 22 and 10. That is well within the tolerance margin of the original caps. So I've essentially built the JMI power circuit using the JMI values, and just by changing the way it's grounded, eliminated the JMI hum, without changing the JMI feel, the low end. And that will get there more as it gets further tweaked. We're also hearing this through a brand new Celestian Blue in this client's AC30 here. So I'm pleased with this channel. I think it has a little too much gain overall. I'm going to be lowering that, and the way I'm going to lower that will also take away a little bit of the high-end grit without losing air. So I think that's going to be very nice. But it's already sounding really good, and it's sounding much better than it did yesterday. For those who didn't see yesterday's video or aren't familiar with my thought process on this app, this channel, the normal channel, is not the top boost channel of an AC30. So if you expect to be hearing that, This amp is not trying to do that. This channel is not trying to do that. This channel is set to be a very good meat and potatoes basic guitar channel, and you have control over the amount of low end, and when this is working, you'll have control over the amount of high end. Neither channel has any mid-range control because these things live by the mids. So, I'm not 100% happy with it yet, but compared to most production amps that come in, this is already sounding better than them. I'm trying to be humble about this. It's just the case. So let's go to the pentode channel. And I've really changed the voltages there. The initial setup, as it came in, the plate was lower than the screen on the pentode, and pentodes change their behavior and sound dramatically based on voltages. So now I've got the plate up quite a bit and the screen is lower. I think the screen needs to come up a little bit. It's a matter of balancing the two. If you go too far in one direction, you have a channel that's very clean and chimey, but doesn't have any real punch. If you go the other direction, you've got a channel that has too much overdrive, but lowers the output. And so you got to find all the balances. This is more towards where I want to be, but it's not there yet. Goes into overdrive just a hair too soon. So it's approaching where I want it to be. It's not there yet. It's a little dark at the lower ranges of the volume. I'll be addressing that as well once I get the channel otherwise where I want it to be as far as the chime and harmonic complexity. And on the tight switch on this, I need to make the tight setting a little bit tighter still. But it's getting there, and the response is much better than yesterday. They're just very finicky things, and once I get it dialed in, it will be dialed in, and I'm doing it a different way than Vox did, which should let me have similar results, no matter the variations between EF86s. So still not there yet, closer to there, and I'm played a little bit longer than I needed to for the sake of demonstrating to you guys. As much as anything, I'm recording this to myself, so when I make future changes, I can refer back to this and say, oh yeah, that was the problem I was hearing there, and I've definitely addressed that. Or what about that other thing? Oh yeah, there was a little bit of a graininess there. Have I covered that yet? Well, I'll go back and I'll check. So here's a progress report, and I'm pleased with it overall, but it's got a good ways to go before I think it's perfect, and I want perfect.